cursed VHS tapes, 80s style gore, and a mute antagonist. Welcome to the Mostly Pod Out at Night. Mostly, I am Graveyard, joined by my Tire of October co-host, Salem.
That's correct.
Yes, this is episode 120 of our weekly All Things Horror podcast. We are nearing the end of our spectacular season for October. I know Salem is ready for the cleanse of the palate that we have coming up next month.
Well, because you keep putting all these terrible franchises on me.
Yeah. I think we did good with good franchises. The first one we did last year was the start of the shit show for October.
You just keep to stack them up. You're like, how many terrible franchises can I find and stack on top of each other?
Yeah, maybe we won't do horrible franchises next year. So,
well, I think we're almost out of them. Well, I know we're not. Feels like we should be.
Yes, but we're finally here because we are wearing our brown pants, holding on to our barf bags, and readying our sphincters for as we prepare to be terrified. So yeah, we're finally here to the Terrifier series. But let's all go to the Clown Cafe as we look at the Terrifier.
Don't do that.
Oh, do you want me to sing? It's art. It's an art Christmas.
Dear Lord. Okay, now I know this is like way down on the list, but one question here. Okay, In the third movie, they specifically said Terrifier, right? And I remember, I had the Nardo meme in my head of him pointing from his armchair. But what were they talking about?
I don't know.
Right. They're like, from the Terrifier. I'm like, what is that? I mean, I understand it's the title of the film, but it was never said in the first two movies, and all of a sudden they say it in the third one as if it means something.
No, the Terrifier is the spooky carnival house that they went to. In
the second one?
Yeah.
Did they ever say that in the second one?
Yeah. He said, when Jonathan's on the phone, he says, meet me at the Terrifier. And it had said Terrifier across the spooky house.
You sure?
Positive.
All right.
Well, anyway, yes, we are doing the Terrifier trilogy and All Hallows Eve, the first non-short canon version of Art the Clown that we get, because there's two shorts that came before this. So there's there's 6 altogether. We're just doing the full feature-length movies. And these are going to be kind of hard to describe because they're just gore. Just insert gore here for a lot of these things. So let's start off with All Hallows Eve, which came out in 2013, and I think
most of these little vignettes you can pretty much summarize in one sentence. That's all it is. The first two is one, maybe 2 sentences, and it's done.
Yeah. And what's interesting is with going to the recap here, All Hallows Eve is essentially it feels like a cursed VHS tape, right?
Well, that's what it is, yeah.
Yeah, and it's an interesting start to Art the Clown to where we get to him in Terrifier 3. Well, essentially, it is a babysitter, taking care of 2 kids, and they went trick-or-treating and going through their candy, which is all nondescript candy, including those strawberry things that no one knows the actual name of.
They're called Grandma strawberries.
And all of a sudden the kid's like, I got a VHS tape. And then one goes, oh my God, it's a 1982 VHS. And I go, that's oddly specific. But
so you're just going to trot right past that the movie VHS came out a year before this film came out, and is obviously a cheap ripoff of that.
Oh yeah, it's Damien Leone's VHS series.
I'm like, okay, I was like, which one of these came out first? And yeah, of course, VHS came out a full year before this one did. I'm like, okay, got it.
Yeah, this is even a bigger indie VHS.
Correct.
So we do get the babysitter and the 2 kids are the wrapper for this trilogy of terror, if you will. And we'll go through the 3 things. Essentially, it is they turn off the spooky movie of Night of the Living Dead to put on the VHS of this just nondescript tape.
Right.
And
Now, I like I tell you, dude, every horror movie,
we
when they sit down and somebody's watching another horror movie in that movie, it's almost always Night of the Living Dead. And usually the only time it is not is if the franchise has already used Night of the Living Dead and they want to use something else, which is the case of the later films of the series.
I mean, number 2 has Night of the Living Dead again. So.
Yeah, it does. I'm just saying, but yeah, one does, 2 does, but later on, but 2 does House on Haunted Hill first, and then does Night of the Living Dead after that. So it has to reset with another one before it can do it again. Apparently,
correct. Yeah, and 3 is end of 2, and 3 is Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Correct.
So anyway, they're watching, and essentially we get our first introduction to Art the Clown, not played by David Howard Thornton. So someone else.
Horton Hears a Who.
Yes. And we're introduced to just it's a Halloween party or subway station, which is like the creepiest subway station I've ever seen, which is like locked doors everywhere.
Yeah, I've never seen a subway station with doors in it. I'm sorry, that's like doors to like a waiting room where the train isn't. Like I've never seen that.
No, and
that's not how public buildings work.
And we've gone to some sketchy public transportation train systems in the Chicago area.
I've been in the bowels of Union Station more than once, and they don't look like that.
No. So, it's essentially we get Art the Clown. He's honestly just Art the Clown. He's the same character at this point. And this is the introduction. He's carrying his bag of tricks. He has his horn. And then he proceeds to just drug the woman that is there. Is supposed to be meeting stuff. We get some drunken people like, oh, is the train here yet? No, 10 minutes. Cool. And then they're out of the movie. And then the best way to describe what happens next when she wakes up is, what if Rosemary's Baby's rape scene with the devil, but like a costume party?
Yeah, I call them Morlocks because they're in the sewer, so like they might as well be Morlocks.
Yeah, and like I said, it's just a way to show off all the different I'm gonna call them generic Halloween or spirit Halloween masks that they have.
Well, yeah, generic, like already used, like indie movie villains. Mm-hmm. Like that's essentially what we're working with.
Yeah, and a lot of it is almost like the idea of the start of analog horror and why can't I think of it? Just like Slender Man and stuff like that, right?
Trash.
Oh, yeah.
The word you're looking for is trash.
Trash, yeah. Creepypasta.
Yeah.
And essentially she just gets like, doesn't he even get like, there's like a pregnant woman who gets
they're all like chained in this hallway with the chains like going out down the hallway, and they're like, what's going on? They're like, oh well, once in a while they just yank on the chain and one of us goes away, and then that's the plot. And then eventually she gets yanked down with the chain, and then Rosemary's Baby happens. End of vignette.
End of vignette, yeah. And the baby's like, oh, this is terrifying. Well, let's go. I think you're right. It's time to start carving the Halloween pumpkins, the jack-o'-lanterns, at 10:15 at night. I have that written down because that's stupid.
It's Halloween, dude.
You don't carve them at 10 o'clock at night.
Dude,
the night of.
Even children don't go to bed before midnight on Halloween. Come on now.
I'm just saying. I think they got that because Laurie Strode decides to carve jack-o'-lanterns after trick-or-treating on Halloween.
I think that's a stretch, buddy.
So that happens. She's like, oh, that's weird. I'm gonna watch the next one, and it's about a what was that guy from Boba Fett, the blue guy with like the hoses out of his face?
Oh, the bounty hunter guy?
Yeah. Callus Bane or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
So imagine him in the next vignette as the alien.
Well, Yeah, it's like picture like your typical gray aliens, and then try to like put like techno destructo armor on them. That's essentially what they are.
And hoses to his face, like
Right,
Bane from Batman as
right.
well.
And
Um,
yeah,
uh,
it's a very bad like chasing her like a lady through the house, like trying to like quote unquote abduct her. I guess I don't.
yeah, essentially, it's a woman whose husband or boyfriend's an artist who's left her by herself to unpack the entire new house because they moved from the city, and she's like, I don't hear ambulances and fire trucks and all this stuff. It's so quiet. And then she thinks she hears something in the house, and lo and behold, she starts being chased by an alien trying to abduct her to do whatever to her. She does get hits in every once in a while. She does attach like one of his hoses. He's like suffocating, but she then goes and hide. And then the stereotypical trope of I have my phone ringer on all the time at the loudest volume. Like, I don't know the last time I had my phone ringer on. Do you?
I don't think I've ever had it on. I think like since I got a cell phone, I think it's been on permanent silent. The only time it's not been is if like I'm on call for work.
Yeah,
That's
but
the only time it's not.
it's just vibrate.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
And as she's about to get captured, she's like getting taken, and she uncovers her boyfriend's painting, and it's a picture of Art the Clown, and the babysitter gets too scared of it, so she shuts it off before we can see the woman getting killed by this Bane alien. And she does start to hear some creepy noises and all that stuff around the house. She's like, huh, that's weird. We get more stuff like the kids that were so terrified.
Oh, we're
The
back to the
first,
rapper. I'm like, wait, what?
yeah,
I was like, the story reset? No, yeah, we're end of vignette,
yeah,
back to rapper. There you go.
yeah. And so the older sister's terrified, and she goes to sleep in the bedroom with the younger brother. She's like, I could have sworn I heard stuff, blah blah blah. Okay, so that's happening to kids, and the baby's just like, all right, now it's time to get some wine drunk on and finish this VHS tape. And it's just another Art the Clown vignette of a woman who is lost in somewhere New York, and she's like a costume designer, and she's like, hey, I'm getting stuck, and I go to this gas station, and we get the really typical Art the Clown that we see, with him being kicked out of a gas station, accused of smearing shit everywhere
I
with
don't.
his
There was an
bag.
accusation that he was caught brown-handed.
Oh yeah. So the gas station attendant kind of kicks him out, and she's like, I'm trying to get gas. Can you help me find my way back to the highway? He's like, yeah, just go a couple miles and you can be back on it. She goes, cool. And then he hears kind of a noise in the gas station and disappears. And she's just waiting to hear, back from him what to do. And she's like, huh, that's weird. And she goes into, once again, the creepiest gas station that has like narrow corridors and hallways.
Yeah, it's like the labyrinth, the gas station.
Right. I go, there's no way he's gonna go out and pump people's gas after going through that just alleyway of a hallway of the gas station. But essentially she makes her way through, and well, he's been essentially chopped up, the gas station tenant, by Art the Clown. And easily the goriest part of this entire movie is right there.
Well, yeah, I mean, literally, like this was, I think, the selling point of the movie, because the opening crawl of the film is this scene,
Yes.
like of the body parts that
The
are cut
hand, yeah.
and moving around is like literally the opening of the movie. Like, look how scary.
Yeah. And I will call it I'll call this the start of that scene in these movies. Right? Aaron talks about that scene in each one of these movies. I'm gonna call it this one is that. Anyway, so Art kind of chases her down. She's able to escape, and of course her cell phone's dying because it's 2013, but the phone looks like a little bit older than that, almost an 08 phone, I would say.
Well, I don't think anybody like associated with that film could afford like
No.
current gen technology.
No. So anyway, she's trying to figure out, trying to get back to the highway, And lo and behold, Art has magical teleportation powers. He's able to just appear wherever he feels like it. She's trying to kill her. She escapes from him again. She's up to a car, and we get a person at the car. And we kind of get the first of the bad faced rhinoplasty scenes of it, right? It's always the left eye is just like skinned over, and the right eye is just kind of bulging out. And she's like, okay, shit, this isn't good. And so she tries to drive away. She gets like kind of run off the road by Art in a truck. And so she kind of crashes her car. She meets up with someone else. It's like, hey, I'm trying to escape. He picks her up and they crash. And he gets killed by Art the Clown. And she runs into a barn where she locks the door with, the old, barricade of stuff, right? They have the metal latches. I'm sure you know the proper name for that.
What's
where
that?
she bars it.
Yeah.
But essentially,
you bar the door.
Yeah. But yeah, she's kind of hiding in this barn, and lo and behold, Art is able to dig under the door because he couldn't get through, and tunnels his way in to it.
Right, like it's an old barn, dude.
Yeah.
You could just like push the fucking wall. I'm sure it would fall down.
Yeah, but now he's able to, be a gopher. So essentially, he comes up and pretty much kills her. Right?
Well, I mean, yeah, she does die. Yes.
Yeah. And so the babysitter is like, okay, that was too much.
Hold on. End of vignette. Start of rapper. There you go.
So the babysitter's like, okay, this is creepy because like after the end of that tape, she kind of goes like down into like an old cellar and like he's watching her through the TV and pushes his face against the screen. She's like, okay, this is creepy. She turns off the TV and she's like, oh shit, he's able to like, he's kind of in the reflection, like sitting on the couch, but he's not there. When I look at him in the real world, looks back, he's there. He attacks her a little bit, and she's like, running around, and Art's now like in the real world, I guess. And she goes upstairs and finds that the kids have been killed, right? Decapitated, and their two heads are on the bed. And yeah, so he chases her around, and then it turns into like another VHS form as she's getting killed, and we get another thing of like we're now watching the cursed VHS, and Art kind of looks at us. He's like, oh, he's gonna see us. Puts his head into the hands against the screen, and then the actual trailers commence. I'd say that's about it, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
All right. I thought I had seen this before. And apparently it is. I would have remembered the cheesy ass alien segment. If nothing else.
I mean, yeah, there's a bunch of movies called All Hallows Eve. There's even an All Hallows Eve 2, which is supposedly a sequel to this one, but like Damien doesn't have anything to do with it.
Right.
So I didn't watch that. I don't know what it is, but I did see it. So there's a lot of stuff with the same name. So I have not seen it, but I know I didn't. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I just thought this is an interesting take of like a gorier VHS, but obviously more independent, and an interesting start to Art the Clown. So I can see, I'd say honestly true to the character from his origin. What was your first thoughts while watching this?
I mean, it's obviously very low budget. But I would say, I mean, the production value on the rapper is pretty good. I would say two. I don't know. All the vignettes aren't great, but I would say two of them aren't bad, and one of them is horrible. But that's, I mean, it's not bad for an indie, kind of collection, right? I mean, it's not bad. I've seen much worse. So
right, and he did and Damien did the VFX himself too.
Right.
written, directed, edited, special effects by one guy.
Yeah. No, like I said it's not bad. It's not great. It's not a movie that I would put in my rotation or want to own, but it's not bad.
It's better than VHS Viral.
No. I don't know. Sure. Okay. I'll give you that.
Okay. All right. I'll go first with my highlights. Obviously, Night of the Living Dead. I love that movie. No matter how many times we see it. It was funny, though. Usually, it's always the opening. They're coming to get your Barbara scene, right? Like, that's the only way to really define it as that's Night of the Living Dead, because everyone knows that scene.
Everybody should know it by now because it's literally fucking everywhere. It's free.
Yeah.
You can find it free anywhere. And it's legal to watch free. It's a movie that you cannot be busted for pirating because there is no copyright.
Right. But I feel like it's always the same scene that they show from that movie.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Most commonly, yeah.
Yeah. I think that, for the origin of Art the Clown, it said his character stays true. He doesn't change. He's the same throughout the entire series. Now the stories are obviously different.
I don't know about that.
Well, but he's still, like, he wasn't talking in this one. It wasn't out of
I mean, there are things that are maintained through the series, yes. Yeah. I would not say that he does not change.
Yeah. His backbone, his
that he wears his outfit and his clown outfit and he doesn't talk. That does not change, correct?
Yeah. I also find it interesting that he essentially comes into, quote, the real world and creates a curse to VHS, and then the person that watches it essentially becomes like the next vignette in the next copy of the VHS, is what I took was the implication.
I just think it was them wrapping it up.
I mean, maybe I'm looking too hard into it or too deep into it for something that's not there, but I thought that was an interesting concept for it.
I mean, it's just a way to tie together a bunch of stuff, and then they want to put a little, panache on the end. That's what they did.
Right. And like I said, it's for a low budget movie, especially the gas station tenant. I mean, it's decent. The special effects are pretty good for that. It's almost like he went to the Tom Savini school of, special effects. So I do appreciate that. Those are my highlights. How about you?
Yeah. I always point out Night of the Living Dead when it's there. Mm-hmm. It's always hilarious to me that like every movie uses, even movies that aren't horror movies, use it.
Yes.
Like whenever somebody's watching TV, it's always that movie. I guess it's free, so I mean, why not? But it's just funny to me. I did like the Morlocks. I thought that was interesting. I mean, like overall, you could tell the production value of that was pretty low, but I thought they did a good job with that one. If I had to pick a favorite out of the three, that would probably be it. Again, Art the Clown in this one is interesting, right? Mm-hmm. It's just like a slasher villain. They don't try to go too deep into what's going on or why. He's just there, right? It's just the character that they made up to do this, and that's it. But yeah, as an origin story, as the first story, it's not bad. And the third one, I did appreciate like the film grain, right? Like I think that one was the only one that understood the assignment of like this is supposed to be like a crappy VHS thing, right? Like the acting in that one was bad, but I think it might have been intentionally bad. I think they understood the assignment. I think the other two maybe did not understand that part. I think the first one did a good job as just being an interesting story. But I think the third one understood that, we're going to be on a VHS. Let's not have all digital cameras. Right. Right. I thought that was cool. And like, I did appreciate that like flail of random bladed instruments that Art had. I thought it's an interesting concept anyway. Just kind of gross and brutal. But I will say the wraparound itself, the quality of the wraparound is like in stark contrast to the three vignettes, right?
Yes.
It is like obviously filmed with like, modern equipment, with like modern lighting. Like it's like night and day, the difference between the two. I mean, that's probably intentional considering that, they're supposed to be VHS things, but it's like, again, one of them got the assignment, the other two didn't bother. But that was it. Just, and I thought the actress that played the babysitter was she did a pretty good job.
And obviously she comes back.
Yeah, well, minor comeback. I mean, not not as a major character.
Right.
I'll roll it in by low points here. Low points. There's cockroaches. There's a lot of them, and they're gross.
Yep.
I don't appreciate that. Okay, that alien home invasion. Just the whole thing was just kind of dumb, and I would say the actress was horrible. I mean, the worst acting in this entire film for sure. She is not good.
I mean, she would fit right in place with the B alien invasion movie.
Right. And if they would have done like the crappy film grain and intentionally done it bad, I would see that. But like whoever made that like tried to make it serious, and it was hilariously bad. And it was the third vignette, the acting is bad in it, but again, I was like under the like maybe they're doing it on purpose. Like this one I think is like maybe they get the joke. But I'm still on the fence. So I put it in here like because I don't know if that's the case or not. I might be reading too much into it. Okay, now this is 2013. How do children know what a VHS tape is? And why do they have a VCR?
On their flat screen.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, this is 2013. Like, even like, the people that are broke have at least a DVD player at this point.
Yep.
I mean, because again, Blu-ray is out at this point. DVDs are dirt cheap. There's no way that these kids would know what a fucking VCR is.
No.
Anyway, and then anytime there's any kind of poop smearing in a film is disgusting to me. Especially like because he's literally like his gloves are all brown and covered in shit. That is so fucking gross to me. But yeah, that was not pleasant. That's it. What do you
got? The kids' acting was atrocious.
Oh yeah, but they're kids.
Yeah.
There's no emotional, story hinging on these child acting. If there's not emotional stuff hinged on a child acting, I usually don't care unless it's really bad.
Right.
Kids have a lot of leeway. Again, I know I complain a lot about kids, but I do give them a lot of leeway. I just hate when movie people hinge emotional shit on child actors that can't act.
Right.
Don't do that. It so rarely works. Like I can count on one hand the amount of times I've seen it actually work. Versus the hundreds of times I've seen it attempted and failed.
Yeah.
It just So sorry.
It's all right. Like okay, it's annoying to me. Like I get that where the babysitter is watching the VHS. I don't need to have a camera pointed at the TV and me watching it on the TV. It could just go into the TV. I understand. I'm watching the tape at this point.
Okay, now the third vignette understood that assignment. The first two, you may not know you're watching it on the TV because they do not look like VHSs that were played on a TV. The third one does.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I just thought I laughed when she's like, she's talking to her friend like, "This is a VHS from 1982." Like, what? That's an oddly specific year, like just from the 80s. Like, I don't understand why 1982.
Maybe
and if it's 1982,
maybe it had a number on it or somewhere.
Quite honestly, if it's 1982 and it was probably going to be a beta. Quite honestly.
Okay, there were people that had VHSs and not betas. I know you had. I know you were lived in a beta household. It doesn't mean that everyone lived it. I never had any kind of beta device or tape in my house ever. I only heard about beta tapes from other people. So we do exist. You need to relax.
And obviously the alien vignette was just like atrocious. It was bad.
Yes, it was.
Like the alien wasn't scary. Like it is easily the most generic stuff. Like that is like the costume you wear when you're trying to play a prank on your friend and dress up as an alien yourself.
It looked like a Power Ranger villain.
Yes.
Like a Power Ranger, not even the villain, because the villain usually gets the best effects. It was like a Power Ranger villain's henchman.
Yes.
Is what it looked like.
Yeah. Yeah. That's absolutely true. But that's kind of what I got. I agree with you on your low points as well. So our number, or out of this episode, our number of hefty garbage bags, because he's not using no flex.
Yeah, obviously not. Okay, because regular garbage bags tear through very easily when you put like a heavy bladed object in them. And then the flex ones are supposedly able to do it. I've poked holes in the flex ones too.
Yeah.
So yeah, the the strength of these garbage bags is amazing. I need to know where you buy it.
Exactly. So how many hefty garbage bags out of 10 do you give All Hallows Eve?
I mean, it's not, the idea of it isn't bad. Like I said, 2 of the 3 vignettes are good-ish. The wraparound is interesting. Again, is it something I want to watch again? No. Is it something that's not bad? And that's if it comes up, I'm not going to hate it. So I'm mediocre. I'll give it a 5.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's an interesting start to now what we're seeing 11 years later is, quote, air quotes, cultural phenomenon of Art the Clown. I don't know.
It's not. I know what it is. It's a thing that I complain about a lot. It's just that these like horror people that think they know what horror is have now decided that Art the Clown is their new poster child.
Yep.
And so whatever happens, they're going to promote that shit, no matter how terrible it is.
Yeah. That being said, like I said, this is an interesting movie. Am I ever going to watch this again? No. Let's face it. So I will give it 6 hefty garbage bags out of 10. Like I said, it's an interesting start. I wish they would have kept the idea of this cursed VHS.
Well, we already have a franchise of cursed VHSs. We don't need 2 of them.
I know.
I wonder if All Hallows Eve 2 follows the cursed VHS thing too. I didn't even look up anything about it, so no. I just saw that it exists.
I haven't looked it up either. So, all right, why don't you take us through Terrifier 2016? I think these without these vignettes, these would probably be shorter recaps.
Yeah, there's not. Really, there's not a whole lot that happens. So anyway, there's 2 girls coming home from a Halloween party. One is obviously more drunk than the other, but they're both pretty, whatever. Had a good night, as they say. So, the drunk girl is of course the one that was driving. So they go to their car to try to leave. The more sober girl is trying to get her keys, and she's not having it. And so, but they see Art the Clown shows up. I guess the opening crawl is him like putting on his makeup and shit, getting his garbage bag ready to go out on the town. So he shows up. They're kind of creeped out. The drunk girl is calling goofy shit at him. She's like trying to apologize for her, and then he disappears. They're like, okay, that's weird. So she convinces her not to drive, but she won't let her drive. So then they kind of compromise to let's go get some food before we go home. So they go to this pizza place, and they have obviously shit New York floppy pizza. God, I don't know. I guess it's just where I grew up and the pizza I'm used to. That floppy pizza looks disgusting to me, but
correct.
Everybody seems to love that kind of shit in New York, but and all of New England really. But I'm guessing it's in New York again. So they're eating their pizza. They're hanging out in this little pizza place. They're the only ones there. Of course, Art the Clown pops in and he sits down and just starts staring down the sober-ish girl. I'll call her the brunette. There's the brunette and the blonde. The blonde is the drunk one. The brunette is the sober one. I'm just staring her down. So that the blonde goes over there to taking selfies with him and shit, and he is not even looking at her. She has to grab his face and move it towards her before he even recognizes that she's there. Then he goes to the gumball machine, puts a quarter in there, steals the tip quarter, and it gets a ring. It goes over, puts the ring on the brunette's finger, gets all excited, and then goes in the bathroom. Which I guess at least they stopped this tradition after this movie, but he gets chased out by the owner because he was smearing shit all over the walls.
Yep.
So he gets chased out. He's like, "Oh, you guys okay? Yeah, whatever. Okay, finish eating pizza." And for some reason, we get to see the other guy cleaning up the bathroom, which is fucking disgusting.
They had shit money.
Yeah, I guess so. It's like, dear God, do we really need to see this? So the girls finish their pizza and they leave to go back to the car. At this point, we see the first kind of gory murder scene of Art the Clown murdering the two pizza guys. One guy cleaning up his shit in the bathroom, and the other guy, I don't think we actually see him, but he gets his head gets turned into a pizza man o' lantern.
Mhm.
And then he kills the other guy. So anyway, so they go back to their car. Oh no, their tires have been slashed. Okay, so the brunette calls her sister to get a ride, but they gotta wait because whatever, she's like out of town, so they got a long time to wait. Brunette has to go to the bathroom, but they're like trying to like focus and wait. Um, Creepy guy comes out of the building that they're parked in front of for a cigarette. Brunette goes up to him, "Hey, can I use your bathroom?" "Oh, sure, come on." So she goes to go use the bathroom while she's like wandering around this like condemned horrible building. She finds out that guy is um he's fumigating for rats.
Yes.
I don't know why you would fumigate that building. Like that building needs to be condemned. It's disgusting and
It's
falling apart.
no
But
one's living there, so yeah.
yeah, it's like I don't know why they would bother fumigating, but whatever. So she's like, trying to use this disgusting bathroom. We get cut to Art the Clown showing up at the car, and attacking, assaulting the blonde. Right? It cuts before anything too bad happens, but we know that bad things happen.
Mhm.
So she goes, back to, the bathroom. She's like wandering around in this building. She finally makes her way to the front door, and then Art the Clown is there, covered in blood.
Yes.
Start a cat and mouse chase through the building. She finds the creepy guy, the fumigator guy, but of course he's got his headphones in and can't hear her screaming at him. And then Art finally catches up to her, and knocks her out. She wakes up tied to a chair, and then this is that scene for this film, to
Mhm.
where Art the Clown pulls this like blanket off of like whatever his exhibit, and it's the blonde hanging upside down, and then he proceeds to take a saw and cut her in half. like, starting at the ass going all the way up to the head.
Yeah.
So again, that's that scene from this film, and she watches the whole thing. At this point it starts to diverge, right? So the girl manages to break out of the chair and escape. I think she maybe stabs or hits Art a couple times and runs off and escapes. And then we start getting more people showing up. We get the bald guy's boss is trying to call him, but since he's on his headphones, he can't hear him at first. Because he calls like, "Hey, I think something's going on," because he starts seeing things that are going on. Oh, is he going to do something about it? No, he gets like knocked out immediately. So the bald guy, yeah, the creepy guy doesn't do anything, but his boss is still like trying to get into the building. We're introduced to this other lady who is, I guess, kind of like a crazy homeless lady who has like
Let's call her stage theater caricature number one.
well, yeah, whatever. So crazy homeless lady that has a baby that she thinks is real, which I guess whenever they have like an older woman that's crazy, this is like a 90% chance she's gonna have a baby that she thinks is real, like
Mhm.
all the time, right?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so that's whole thing. There's a whole weird scene between um Art and her where he like steals the baby, and she's like trying to find him and trying to like bargain with him to save the baby's life and shit. It's very fucking bizarre. Um and then there's a scene where uh, she the sister finally shows up, right? She finally makes her way into the building. She thinks she finds the sister, right? Her sister, which is the brunette, lying on the ground like crying because she finds the girl cut in half, so she knows horrible things are happening. And so she goes to help her sister who's on the ground crying after she sees the homeless lady with like the top of her head missing, who is still alive at this point. And she goes to help who she thinks is her sister on the ground. It turns out to be Art wearing the homeless lady's like scalp as a hat. And then as he's chasing her throughout the building, it turns out to be him wearing her skin, or at least parts of her skin, as a suit,
Mm-hmm.
like Buffalo Bill style. It's very awkward. But anyway, so he chases her to this like wardrobe she locks herself into, and she's then distracted by the boss guy because I think he breaks into the building at this point.
Yeah.
So he runs away to go deal with that, and then she just kind of gets left there. So there's a scene where she, I believe, eventually gets captured. The bald guy wakes up, knocks out Art, and then he ends up killing the bald guy by smashing his face.
Oh yeah.
Wacky chase through the building. Yeah, so the one girl is dead. You know, at this point it was kind of like, is she, isn't she? And then she finds her like sitting in a chair with like a big circus sign on her, and she's like very dead.
Yes.
So she realizes, okay, everybody's fucking dead. There's a kind of like a standoff scene where she's trying to fight Art, you know, like stabbing him, running around, blah blah blah. And finally, like, the police show up because the boss, right before he died, called the police. And then he got killed shortly thereafter. So the police show up right as Art kind of knocks the girl down and is seen there, like, kind of chewing and eating something. They break in. The cops break in, and then they, you know, tell him to turn around, and he tries to pull out a gun. But he shoots himself. Instead of shooting at the cops, he shoots himself. And we see that the girl, he was eating her face.
Yep.
So she technically survives, but like her face is like very fucked up.
Yes.
Everybody else is dead. And then we get a kind of end scene where they bring the bodies to the morgue. I use that term very loosely. It's obviously the basement of the building that they're in.
Oh yeah.
Like, it is not a morgue at all. It's just like a basement room. Anyway, so they're like, oh, you know, this person is all fucked up. Oh yeah, this is the guy with the smashed face. Yeah, he's dead. And then he opens up the body bag in the second one, and it's Art, and he like comes back to life.
Yep.
To choke him with some like, I don't know, magic fucking ability or something. I don't know. They don't really explain it at this point in time. They just show that he comes back. And then that's it.
Yep.
Did I miss anything that you want to fill in there?
No, it's just gore galore.
Yeah, it's, again, I probably left out some chase scenes and, you know, kill scenes, whatever. I put in all the important ones.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I mean, what was your first thought on this? This is your first time seeing this.
Yeah. I haven't seen any of these before. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. How about that? The first one I thought was going to be the typical schlocky, stupid bullshit that people that tell me I should watch this movie are normally into. To be fair, it's not you. You did not tell me to watch this movie. I'm not low key talking shit about you. I'm talking other people that are in the, you know, the kind of horror world that told me, oh, you need to watch the Terrifier movies. Okay, I'll get to it eventually. I knew. It's one of those things like Killer Clowns, right? I didn't watch it on purpose because I knew I would probably not like it. But this one is surprisingly not bad. I mean, like, you know, Art is a little much, you know, but this movie really just kind of sells that he is just a psychopath.
Oh, yes.
Right? He is just a murdering psychopath. There really is no rhyme or fucking reason as to why. Like, whatever reason, he's putting on his clown makeup in the beginning and he just decides to go on a murder spree.
Yep.
That's it. I mean, that's all this movie is just the clown going on a fucking murder spree. He's very much human. You know, I mean, he gets stabbed and bleeds and, you know, like, I mean, he's not like immortal or anything. at this point. Like, again, the ending is a bit questionable.
Yeah.
I don't know why they needed to do that, but like, it was an interesting before that morgue scene. I thought it was an interesting film that was better than I thought it was going to
Yeah, I mean, and that's what makes the idea of Art the Clown just at this point in time just fucking terrifying. Is that he's just doing it out of the sheer fun of it.
right.
You know what I mean?
And like I
And,
said, this movie, I mean, yeah, there's some weird over the top stuff, but it's not wacky clown shit. That's weird over the
correct.
top. He
Correct.
does do wacky clown shit, but not enough to like make me hate it.
Right.
You know, he does, I think, just the right amount. This will change as the franchise
Mhm.
progresses. Spoilers, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, as of this movie, I thought it was a good balance.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I watched this in prep for Terrifier 2 when it came out just because I heard so much about it. I'm like, all right, I guess I got to do it. And I watched it. And I'm like, it's not. To me, it's a good reliving of the 80s slasher. The first one is. So I appreciate that.
It's reliving the 80s slasher, but taking it that little one step past it, right? Like giving somebody that extra level of gore and murder that
right.
they don't normally get from those. Yeah.
Right. I mean, this is would have easily been a video nasty.
Correct.
Hands down. So I appreciate that. And it's a good love letter to it. But let's get into that. Why don't you start off with your highlights for Terrifier?
Okay, I will say I did really like the brunette skeleton dress.
Mm-hmm.
That was peak costume design.
Yes.
I mean, the effects are great in this movie. I mean, the blood and the gore are fantastic. Like, I mean, whoever did them obviously knew their craft. They're you can obviously tell when there's a fake body there, whatever. But they did a great job with making it look real-ish, and blood and gore and all that kind of stuff. It looked real enough to put you on edge, right?
Right. Like I said, 80s gore.
80s gore, but I would say it's a bit more realistic than that. It might just be technology. That could be it. But I would say they go that step beyond to make it look a little bit more real than they did back then. And again, it might just be the honing of the craft. I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, I thought that was really good. Again, Art is not bad in this movie. I think he does a good job, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it's he's unsettling. The weird clown shit that he does do is just fucking disturbing. It's not wacky, goofy. It's just like fucked up, which is what they're going for in this film. I could tell. I mean, I really appreciated that when things weren't going his way, he just pulls out a gun.
Oh yeah, he's just like, oh fuck this,
right? Like they never film villains never fucking do that. Like he's got this bag full of bladed things that he wants to murder people with. Like, and when things are not going his way, just bang, just pulls out a fucking gun. Like, okay, this is not going well. Like, I'll just fucking shoot you. I appreciated that. That was very rarely see that.
Right.
No one really lives through this movie.
Or that wants to live.
Right. Like, I mean, somebody does survive, but it is not a good survival, as we see in the second film.
Yeah.
And yeah, just plain brutal, right? I mean, just brutal, unforgiving murder. But yeah, there was some genuine surprises in there, right? That the brunette girl that we've been kind of focusing on as being the protagonist for the first half of the film just dies.
3/4 of the way in, yeah.
Right, yeah, but we don't even get a kill scene for her. She's just dead, and we find her later. We see her as being attacked by Art, but again, he did that to her twice already.
And shot a couple of times, but still alive.
Right, yeah. And again, it was just it didn't expect that to happen. The suicide at the end definitely did not expect that to happen either. He expected him to try to go down with, trying to take the cops with him. But no, he's like, nope, party over.
Yep. I had my fun.
Oh, right. Yeah. And he's like, it's done. So, and then he brought back the flail of many bladed things. This time it looked like they were all scalpels. But still a fun weapon, right? I thought that was interesting. That's all I got.
Okay. So absolutely. I mean, obviously House on Haunted Hill. They're watching that one.
That's not
Love
in this
it.
one. That's the next one.
It was in both.
Where was the TV on in this one?
The mom was watching House on Haunted Hill, and then she turned on Night of the Living Dead. No,
What mom?
sorry.
You're talking about two,
You're
buddy.
correct. Yeah, I'm talking about
Okay.
two. Never mind. All right. Art the Clown, I feel like this movie is just an expansion of his one from the third vignette. Like
Right.
this is like that third vignette to this that's the part I really think holds true to his character, and it's a good continuation. And I like that, even though it's a different person that we had, David playing Art the Clown, he had the same stuff that was set up in All Hallows Eve, 3 years prior. And I think that for not speaking in the slightest, I think the actor that plays Art did a fantastic job with the facial expressions, even with makeup and clown masks and all that stuff. And his mannerisms was perfect. He didn't need to speak. You kind of understood him. He was, the silent clown, the mime, right? And he does it really well. I agree that he just, like as you said, he just like things are going well. Bam, gun. I'm shooting you now. Fuck you. And it's hilarious to see. Like not expecting that the first time watching this. I think like I said, I think it's a good practical effects, and maybe it's the technology. You took the 80s genre and the practical effects and you just amped it up. You're able to make it better. Obviously you can tell, in the 80s where it's not a person, it's just like a torso or just a stomach or whatever the case may be. And it does amp it up to this. I think it's a good love letter to that era that we arguably lost for a long period of time with all the CG shit that we have now. Obviously, it's cheaper than doing it on the computer. I think it's still good. Like, can you still tell it's fake? I mean, yes, you can, but it's still a good love letter to the 80s. And you're right, it is essentially a bad ending, right? Like, oh man, he just shoots himself. The reign of terror is over, and like, nope. He seemingly knew he was going to be fine. So he shoots himself in the head and just kind of gets up. So he's still, alive. How, we don't necessarily know. Obviously, there was like that big spark of electronic stuff in the basement. I could have done without the morgue scene and would just left it as is.
Yeah, that should have been the beginning of 2.
Yes.
I mean, it is, but it should have only been the beginning of 2.
Right, because like I said, I think that would made him more terrifying, and like he just did all this shit and then kills himself. Like, oh shit, like he really didn't care.
Well, I think it would have just been a better overall ending.
Yeah.
To the film.
Yeah.
Showing her surviving, but him just dying. I think makes a better film.
Yeah. I will roll into my low points. It's my baby. You need a mother's touch. My God damn it. Can we get away from these cliches of characters? That's like one of the 6 tropes, right? We talked about it in like what? Don't look in the basement.
Whenever there's an older crazy female, always has a baby. Yep. Every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm sick of that cliche. It needs to go away. I felt like, let's call it Art's theme song, was a poor man's John Carpenter's Halloween theme song. Just like a few keys on the piano, but it sounded really close to John Carpenter's theme. I felt like.
I think you're stretching, buddy. It's just the modern take on like the whole synth wave, retro wave outrun thing. That's what they're going for. Which I guess would include some of the Carpenter sounds, because they use the old school synth sounds.
Yeah,
but I don't think they're intentionally copying Carpenter.
I don't know. It feels like this movie might do that, so that's why I put it on there. Obviously, the shit scene, unnecessary. Like everything else is fine. Like I agree with you. Shit scene and smearing isn't cool. Don't need to show it.
Yeah, man. Show me blood and gore and horrible, deformed, injured people. I am fine. It does not bother me, right? I can appreciate it for how it's supposed to be messed up, but like it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Like you show me like shit smeared all over a wall, and it's like, whoa, like I don't feel good. It's like, oh, this is disgusting.
Yeah. And like we said before, the supernatural ending, unnecessary. Could have done without it. Okay, what are your low points?
Yeah, that garbage bag would not hold all of those heavy bladed things. I'm sorry. I don't care if you like double bagged it. It's not gonna happen.
Right.
I appreciate you just want to give them a bag to carry this shit around in, but like a black plastic garbage bag is probably like, why don't you give him like just a burlap sack that would fit better with his vibe anyway. But yeah, anyway, I thought that was the disgusting floppy New York pizza. I know New York pizza are probably fight me on that, and that's fine. I don't like New York pizza. It's gross. The Buffalo Bills scene I think is completely unnecessary. Like, I mean, I don't know what the fuck the point of that even was. I mean, just to kind of like, go that one step beyond, I guess. But like, I think they already took that one step beyond.
Yes.
Right. Sawing her in half. Right. I think that was the one step beyond this Buffalo Bill shit. It's like, it's been done before. Like, what the fuck is the point of doing it now? I was just very confused. I was like, this is unnecessary. Of course, we already talked about the poop. And the morgue, that morgue fucking basement. Like I said, it was very obviously just the basement of the building that they were in. It was not a morgue in any way. It looks like a shitty warehouse basement. Yeah, they were like, because they have one guy in like a white coat and a couple of stretchers. They're pretending like it's a morgue. No, I'm not fooled. It was not a morgue. It's a basement. But that's all I got.
All right, I'll go first for our olives. I said this is of the series, easily, in my opinion, the best one.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
And is it something I could watch? Yeah, I can watch this over and over again. Can I not watch it in my house with other people around? Correct. My wife will absolutely never watch one of these movies. But I will give it a solid 8 hefty garbage bags out of 10. How about you?
That's a bit much. I mean, is it interesting? Is it decent? Sure. Is it something I want to rewatch now? But it's not bad. I'll give it a 6.25.
All right. Next up, we have Terrifier 2, which came out 6 years later in 2022. And it's only been a year since the last one.
Right. The timelines in this are dumb. Because then in
2 and 3, it's 5 years.
Yeah, and then they like fast forward 5 years. Like, you're not even at the modern age. Why? What are you doing?
No. So like I said, this is probably going to be just a shorter vignette, just because this is way too long.
Yes, it is.
So essentially, we pick up exactly where we left off. That Art kills the morgue doctor, and he's able to come back to life. He goes and washes his clothes at laundromat, where he's just sitting there naked, and then we get introduced to little girl clown.
Don't remind me.
Unfortunately, we have to for this movie. So anyway, that's all going on there. Then we introduce to Sienna, and she's building essentially, I would say, Angela costume from Spawn.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that outfit's all about, but yeah, I mean, it makes sense that like her dad was like a comic book guy, and he's like, that's his idea of a female hero. That makes sense to me.
It's Angela from Spawn.
Right, yeah, basically.
It is. Especially with it being a comic book guy. I'm like, that's where he got it from. So yeah, she's doing all this stuff. Her dad died a year prior, essentially on Halloween. It seems like we introduced to the mom, who's just a foul-mouthed drunk. Her little brother, who is annoying as hell.
I wouldn't call the mom a foul mouthed drunk.
Oh, she's foul mouthed.
Yes, I would call her a drunk. She's a
and,
mom. She's
and,
like,
and,
an
and
overwhelmed single mom.
enough that they pointed out in Terrifier 3. So that's why I'm saying foul mouth for sure.
Well, yeah, that yes. I was saying
Yeah.
like calling her a drunk is, I think,
Yeah.
putting her below where she needs to be for you to care about her in this film.
Yeah. But essentially, they're all coping with the loss of the dad, and Art's alive, and we start getting glimpses of stuff. Like, it's been a year, and all of a sudden now everyone wants to be Art the Clown as a Halloween costume, even the little brother Jonathan, which is, I don't know how people really knew about that, what he looks like, because I don't think there's ever images of him.
Well, especially because they said his body disappeared the day after.
Right. So
I
no
mean,
one
there
knows
may
what
have
you're
been like film of him walking down the street or in the pizza place. I mean, we don't know that, but
I'm still saying it's ridiculous.
yeah. Yeah, I'm on board with that. I'm just saying, like, they may have had pictures of him somewhere.
Yeah. So anyway, that's all going on there, and just really the family coping with the loss of the dad, the year anniversary. We do get more kind of Art the Clown stuff coming back to life and just running, amok with things. I would say there's essentially two different storylines. It's the Art the Clown, and then Sienna and Jonathan, because they don't really tie in together a lot.
Yeah, until the end, right?
Until the end, yeah. So it's, we're back to two different plots. Essentially, like I said, the brother wants to dress up as Art the Clown. He starts, he's bullied a lot to the point where he's like, oh look, there's a dead, possum, and like, oh man, he did it. And then like Art magically appears to him in the school with the girl clown with the dead possum. Jonathan gets accused of killing the animal and bringing it to school because they're like, the mom and Sienna were having conversations like, he's so fucked up, he's gonna start killing animals. Well, look what happens next, right? He's caught with a dead animal in school. So he's kind of punished and not allowed to go trick-or-treating. Sienna is kind of just going through her stuff, and then we get into Art's nightmares, aka Freddy's nightmares of the clown cafe, and then she starts dreaming about like this old school like lamb chop type thing where all the kids are played by adults, and she dreams that she's essentially on fire, and lo and behold, her room is set on fire, her costume kind of destroyed, and then just mom kind of goes off because lit candles, which yes, definitely a thing. And she talks to her friends about it. She's like, okay, this is ridiculous, I'm starting to have these weird dreams, blah 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 blah. And eventually, like I said, we get more Art the Clown things with the little girl and just okayish kills. So anyway, she's like, hey, I gotta rebuild my costume to go to this Halloween party. She goes to discount Spirit Halloween, which is already discounted as it
Yeah,
is.
I was gonna say, can you get lower than Spirit Halloween?
Yes, Party City's quote Halloween section.
Okay,
Halloween.
Party City is around all the time, though.
I know, but their Halloween version section of it.
Well, yeah, but they also have all the other stuff they normally have at Party City.
Yes.
So at least it has more function than Spirit Halloween does.
Okay, we'll call it the Crazy Kaplan's fireworks stand of Halloween, which is just shit everywhere. And once again, mazes and hallways. So anyway, she goes there to get her angel wings that she was building and all this stuff, and of course she sees Art the Clown there, and she's like, okay, this is creepy. So Art kind of narrows in on her just like he did the brunette in the first one. She gets her shit, she gets out of there. Art then locks the door and then kills the Spirit Halloween guy and just pretends to be like a clown at the beginning where the people say it's closed. So we got kind of really a good first gory kill at that point in time. Anyways, the mom's having issues. They're supposed to meet her one friend Allie, and she gets Art shows up there, and we get the scene for Allie where Art just destroys her to the point even like bleach on her open gaping wounds and literally pouring salt into them, rubbing salt into them, and to the point where the mom comes home and he's like filleting her and eating her while she's still alive. Like, she is fucked up. If she lives, that would be bad.
I'm pretty sure you couldn't live. I mean, you
No.
can stay alive for a while, but I don't think you could live through that.
Right. And, Art hands out candy with the mom's skull. He's just more goofy. Anyway, while that is going on, Sienna wears her skimpy ass costume to the Halloween party where her friend doesn't let her know that she gave her Molly while she's also on like meds, like heavy meds.
Okay, kids. Never ever give anyone drugs without their knowledge ahead of time.
Especially when they're on other things.
Yeah, never, ever, ever do that.
No. So anyway, we get our typical club scene where everyone's just sweaty and just gross. She starts to see the little girl clown everywhere. Jonathan, essentially was walking, and he gets taken by Art the Clown. He gets taken to Terrifier. Mom sees her car was just like pumpkined and TP'd. She's like, oh shit, Jonathan did this. He's dead. And her head literally gets blown off by a shotgun. To the point, Jonathan comes back and Art's, made mashed potatoes and shove it into her, face that's not there. Anyway, he gets, attacked, syringe taken, Terrifier calls Sienna, which isn't him. Hey, come to the Terrifier. I'm trapped. So Sienna takes her friends and her boyfriend that she just knew for a couple hours. They go to the old abandoned, carnival, which still has power and trash bags. And she kind of has as she's looking for Jonathan, her friend and her boyfriend just get brutally killed, smashed in. The guy gets his essentially dick torn off and taken care of. The girl makes it back into the shit stained bathroom and it gets like caved in with a table leg, but like instead of the cat of nine tails, he has all the blades hammered through that and just crushes her. And nice gory scene. Sienna comes in, finds him, she gets attacked, she gets pretty messed up a little bit, and there's back and forth throughout the Terrifier haunted house. Jonathan is getting like whipped with cat of nine knives. She comes in as well. Anyway, they're going back and forth. She's able to get some good hits in Art, but lo and behold, he kind of gets back up Michael Myers style. Now we know he's a little bit supernatural. And they shoot him with his gun, like cool, but obviously he gets back up. Jonathan is kind of knocked out, and Santa goes to protect him, and Art just pushes her through just some floorboards, and she's kind of knocked out. And then he goes down there, starts attacking her a lot more, and essentially I'd say a pit to hell, aka water tank at the Clown Cafe, opens up. She's almost drowning, and she was stabbed with this sword that her dad had made for her. And all of a sudden, we get even more supernatural bullshit where her wound in her stomach heals, it starts glowing, and she is now fully Angela from Spawn with a fiery sword that's able to hurt Art. And she stabs him and decapitates him. Kind of end of movie until the post-credits scene, which is a long-ass post-credits scene, I'm going to say. I say it's about 3 minutes.
Right. Well, one of the things that I was going to complain about, I'll say it now. Chris Jericho gets top billing in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, in the opening crawl, they literally say Chris Jericho.
Yep.
He does not show up until the post-credits scene. So, like, I don't know how you give top billing to someone who is only in a post-credits scene. I don't get that.
Because it's the only name people would recognize.
I mean, I'm sure I get that part. I understand. I'm just saying, like, why? Like,
right.
That's not a thing you do.
Right. So anyway, we get, we meet up with the woman that survived from the first one with her face torn up and then attacked, the news anchor, the reporter in the first one, which was played by the babysitter from All Hallows Eve. And she gives birth to Art's head, which then ties into Terrifier 3. Exactly where it leaves off. My first thought, and I'll say it's again, is when I watched Terrifier 2, everyone's talking about that scene. That's why we keep saying it. I watched it and I go, okay, I don't know what that scene is. I had to look it up.
Yeah, I watched it and I was like, I watched the whole movie. Like, what is that scene so that I know what it is? And you tell me, I'm like, oh, okay, I guess.
Yeah, but
But it's not as serious as it is. Like the third one is pretty obvious which one it is.
yes,
But this one is like a little bit looser, I would say.
yeah, but it's like it's that scene that everyone got sick at. It's the bedroom scene that no one wants to watch. I go, I mean, it looks good. It practically looks good. You can know it's fake. Obviously, you can tell it's fake, but it's not as bad as everyone thinks it is. I don't think.
No, I mean essentially he just did Mary Kelly from Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
He just recreated that.
Yeah, but other first thought and rewatches. All right, the franchise jumped the shark with this movie, hands down.
Correct.
So
no argument here.
So what was your kind of first thought?
Yeah, I mean it was, again, it's they're opening up the plot, right? The first one was just like those people got killed because they just happened to cross paths with Art, right? This one is like more of a structured narrative, and I don't think it does very well.
No,
with that, it's like they have goofy powers and shit that like appear and then fucking literally go away for like 2 hours and then come back later on. It's again, if you're gonna try to make a Dream Warriors, fucking put the Dream Warrior shit in the 2 hours between the two uses of the power. You know what I mean? Like that's the whole fucking point of it. And they don't do that. There's a poor job of like describing where the fuck this shit's going. There's more focus on like Art being wacky and killing people than there is on like actually filling out this stupid narrative that you decided to fucking hog tie in here. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's I don't know. It's I've seen worse of like implementations of something like this, but this is like, again, you try to put this fucking slap this narrative in here and it's really just a vehicle to show Art doing bad shit. And this narrative pretty much has its own separate storyline until the end.
Yep.
And it doesn't make sense. If you're gonna try to make Dream Warriors, at least follow the fucking plot line.
Yeah. All right, I'll go first with my highlights. Like I said, the gore was still pretty fun. I mean, I still enjoyed it. It is still pretty good. I this part I'm going to say is the pro and a con. Is it upped the ante, or tried to, with quote the scenes and the gore. It worked and it didn't work for upping itself from number one. That's why it's kind of in both. Of course, at the club. Not that I've been to clubs.
At the club,
at least they're playing Power Man 5000. So
I didn't recognize it. I'm not a big Power Man 5000 fan.
Oh, I am. So I'm like, okay, it's kind of, to me, it's just kind of going like, okay, maybe this is starting to get noticed. So they had Power Man 5000 money.
Well, right? I don't think Power Man 5000 money is very much money. Okay, like they're not that big. But side note here is that Spider, the lead guy from Power Man 5000, is actually making horror video games now. Just so you know.
He's also Rob Zombie's half brother.
Yes, I know, but I was giving him his own platform. Okay, I wasn't attaching him to Rob Zombie. He's doing his own thing. But yeah, he's like making horror video games, which I thought was interesting.
And the song, the Black Lipstick, right? To me, especially in that song, he does sound like Billy Idol. I feel.
I'd have to listen to it. I didn't really pay attention to it.
I mean, you know better than I would, but
I would know Billy Idol better than you, yes. But I did not listen to the song with the intention of like critiquing it. I just was like, okay, it's a song.
Right. Now let me say House on Hill, and
there you go.
I learned that.
There you go.
I just had it in the wrong spot because my grid here. Like I said, it's an okay-ish sequel, but it obviously there's a lot of low points that we'll get into here. What are your highlights?
Highlights, I will say, I did like the music in this one. There's a
Mhm.
lot of like, old school like retro wave outrun type shit, which I do like. Some of it was not that and was not great, but the stuff that was good, and I did appreciate it. I understand it's like kind of jumping into the mainstream here, especially in 2022 when this movie came out, but I enjoy it, and so it's nice seeing. Yeah, like you said, Haunting a Hill House, Plan 9 from Outer Space, night, all those are fun to see in a movie. Like I said, it's interesting that there's, they did Haunting of Hill House. I'm like, oh, they're switching up from the first one, and then it's like the next scene is like Night of the Living Dead. I'm like, oh, well, there went right back. I wonder how much money that Haunting at Hill House scene cost.
Yeah.
I did like that the table leg mace that he made.
Mhm.
Just like putting like knives and forks and nails and just goofy shit. It's a nice, kind of weapon to use to murder people, I guess. I guess they try to have like at least one of these in every movie, like some wacky device that he makes to kill people with.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and then this one I think is the last one that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
But this one, it was a fun, brutal, weapon. I think that fits art for what they're going for.
Mhm.
Again, yeah, I will say the blood, the gore, the FX was good, and I put here most of the time. Now I'll talk about it, the other half of this later on, but it's essentially going to mirror exactly what you said. Is that it is really good. Like whoever did it does a really good job. Like it's great. I think when it goes bad is they try to ham it up, right? They
Mhm.
try to make it goofy, cheesy, like ha ha ha, look at us making jokes with gore, and at that point it just gets boring to me. It's like essentially it was like, oh well, what does everybody like about Terrifier 1? Oh, we all like when art does wacky stuff and kills people and does horrible things to their bodies, and so then they just like, well, let's make it wackier, let's make it bloodier, like let's jump up, and again, it's just fan service, right? That's what they're just playing to their fans, which I guess is good for their fans, but you're basically turning off your casual audience by hyper focusing on what they want to see.
Right.
And I think that's what this movie starts to do. But yeah, I guess I'll roll in my low points, right?
Yep.
The fucking clown cafe. Holy fucking shit, dude. Like I don't know if they did like a experiment to figure out like the most like annoying grating fucking song they could possibly think of, and they fucking repeat it. I swear to god, it feels like an hour long. It does not fucking stop. They keep fucking singing this stupid clown song. And like the first scene is like, I feel like it's 30 minutes long. I know it's not that long, but
It
it feels
feels
way
long.
too long. It
Yes.
feels so long. The second one is thankfully much shorter, but like it's a long scene. I guess it feels probably a lot longer than it is, but holy shit, is that scene whole? It's painful. It's
Mhm.
so painful. It's so unnecessarily long. I don't know why that's there, but it's fucking hurts. And there's a fucking scene with crickets all over cereal, which is
Yes.
fucking disgusting. Like, stop putting bugs. I understand it makes people grossed out, but like, I hate bugs. I don't like. Again, like, oh, he's Freddy now.
Mhm.
Like, again, like if you're gonna come up with a '80s, tropey bullshit of like, somehow the hero is the magical being that can fight him. Like, come up with something kind of original, right? Like this has very obviously been done many different ways in Nightmare on Elm Street films,
Yes.
like many different ways. And again, the thing that I talked about a little bit earlier is like, yeah, she has this fucking clown cafe scene that's way too fucking long that establishes that she has some kind of dream magic powers, right?
Yep.
That is not revisited until the very end. Like, I'm literally talking the finale of the film.
Correct.
And there's like 2 fucking hours in between those two scenes. None of her powers are ever talked about or manifest between those 2 points. Like, that is like ridiculous. I'm like, it's that it just feels like it's slapped on. It doesn't feel like it was originally part of the script. Why would it be that far apart if it was originally part of your writing? It really feels like somebody added it later.
Oh, if you cut it out, you'd take 30 minutes out of the movie.
Right. And then it would be normal fucking movie length.
Yep.
Like,
2
I don't
hours
know.
and 15 minutes.
Right. I don't know why this movie is so long. That's another one on my list. We'll get there. The little girl clown. Holy fucking shit. can't fucking act, looks fucking stupid, and it's just there to like, I don't know. Spooky clowns. I don't know. I don't know why it's fucking there. There's no reason. There's no explanation. Nothing ever goes on. They don't even talk about what it really is, quote unquote, supposed to be until the third movie.
Correct.
It's just there. Very annoying. Like, I guess, like, if you read the synopsis of the films, it's like, this is supposedly the thing that brought him back to life, but it is not explained in the film.
Well, considering no one's in the first film to bring him back to life.
Right. Like, so, like, the only thing that we see that has any kind of development with this little girl clown is that, one, the other guy in the laundromat can't see her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we get that. So, like, just a figment of art's imagination, right? And then, like, we don't really find out that, like, I guess Jonathan and Sienna see it at the end, but I don't really remember when that happened.
Well, he saw her in the school.
Yeah, but they don't explicitly say, like, again, we know that it was there in the scene, but, like, she was there in the scene before in the laundromat, and the guy didn't see her. We don't know that he saw her there.
Right.
There's no actual interaction. So that's what I'm saying. Like, in the third movie, he writes her the letter specifically talking about the little girl clown, but, like, I don't know when it's established that he or both of them saw that little girl clown.
Yep.
It felt very open to me, and I'm like, I don't, the whole reason of her being there is just dumb. And again, like, the hammy fucking effects, right? Like, this is the other half of it. Like, it's still good. It's just like they go, like, this is the jumping the shark part for me, is like they just amplify Art's wackiness.
Mm-hmm.
And they just have him do all kinds of goofy, gory shit, like, ha ha ha, look at him killing people, like, this is what you all love, here, I'm giving you more of it. It just feels like it's fan service. It feels like it's just, instead of making a good film, you're literally making a film for fans. And I know that they love that, but you're cutting away the rest of your audience. You're hyper-focusing your audience on these people that love it already. And all the casual people are going to get cut off. This is what a lot of fucking franchises do as they go along in their sequels. They hyper-focus on what the people that have already seen it want to see more of, and they leave the rest of their audience behind, which is why eventually they die out. Because eventually they have no more fans.
Right.
Okay, now a fucking carnival being empty on Halloween when it has a giant haunted house in it.
That still works.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, if it was abandoned, it would not be functional.
Right.
It's not abandoned. It was in use. Like, the rides and shit look like they were just there. Like, they're not old and rusty with weeds and shit all over them. They're just there. It's like, it's a fucking carnival with a haunted house in it. Why would it not be open on Halloween? I was like sitting there going, why is it not open? They could have had any kind of explanation. Is like, there was an accident that happened or something. Anything to explain why it's closed. Nothing. It just is.
Yep.
Her running around in that ridiculous fucking costume.
She can barely move her legs.
Yeah, she was like literally waddling like a penguin. It was so fucking funny. I'm like, she's supposed to fight in this thing? Like, I get that you're making her look a certain way, but, like, at least give her boots she can run in. It was ridiculous. Ridiculous. I felt bad for her because she's actually like a real stunt woman. Like, she knows, like, martial arts and shit. Like, she is a very physical person, and they put her in an outfit that doesn't let her use any of that. I was like, you're basically taking away her strengths. Like, what are you doing?
She's got to be sexy.
Right. It's just dumb. The outfit looked stupid. There's no reason to fucking, like, force her into it. And then she has to be in this outfit for half the fucking film. Like, at least the other girl was smart enough to take off her boots when she was running, but she only had regular boots on.
Yep.
Like, okay, maybe you can run better without the boots, but I'm saying, like, this other girl who has these ridiculous, like, platform fucking cosplay styrofoam fucking shoes on never takes them off. Because daddy wanted her to wear that outfit. It's so stupid. And again, it's just too fucking long. It's way too fucking long. And the fucking magic sword bullshit is, like, just so stupid.
Yeah.
Like, just so fucking stupid. And again, I got my Jericho top billing, but he's only in the post-credits complaint down here too. But yeah, there was more, and I just stopped really giving a shit after a while, because it's like, yeah, I don't like it. I don't have to explain it any more than this. But yeah, that's what I got.
Obviously, little girl clown,
Yeah,
awful, stupid.
very bad.
Clown cafe, stupid, hated it. I don't get it. It is way too supernatural. It is way too reliant on Freddy Krueger
Yes,
to make it.
yes.
Like, if Art the Clown, like obviously there's something supernatural about him, but this, we like lore, we don't like lore. This is one example of not liking lore or adding on to the character.
Well, they didn't really add any lore. They just like brought this little fucking girl clown around. Again, you have to like read the synopsis of the film to know that this is supposedly the, whatever
What?
fancy being that brought him back to life or whatever.
But like with the dad drawing Art the Clown, and we get more into that. Like, this is setting up. This is only felt like only a setup for number 3.
Yeah, it really does.
All the story part is just a setup for number 3.
It really does. And it feels like it was slapped on later. Like they made 2 without this stupid storyline. And it like, some suit was like, it needs more story. And so they're like, let's slap Dream Warriors on here.
Yeah.
Genius.
Yeah. It's a year later. Like I said, I don't feel like a year later there would be people obsessed with Art the Clown.
Right. Now, yeah, I was thinking the very same thing. I was like, okay, let's say this is a year after Columbine, right? And it's people dressing up as the fucking guys who killed people in Columbine. That would not fucking happen.
No.
That would not fucking happen. Like nowadays, people dressing up as Pogo the Clown. Okay. We're far enough away from Gacy, right? Gacy's been fucking dead for like 30 years. We can get away with that now. Right? It's now just, like he's kind of like an old-timey villain, right? Now you can get away with that. Like, if you were to fucking do that, like, the year after he got arrested, no fucking way. You would be ostracized by your community.
Oh, yeah.
No way.
Yeah, that logically, it would never happen.
Right. Like, I understand, like, you're, you think everybody's a fanboy of your Art the Clown, but like in the world that you created, they sure as fuck would not be.
No. There's a whole lot, like I said, way too supernatural. The flaming sword, all that shit, like I said, just set up for the rest of this franchise. So just take it out. The little girl clown does, spoilers for number 3, doesn't come back. I don't know where she goes off to.
It does, but again, you have to like read the synopses of these films. I did, because I was like, what the fuck does this mean? Because I looked it up, like, because of course everybody knows the lore of this.
Yeah.
And that's a big fan of it. So I looked it up, and I actually know what it is. It's not explained at all. It's like you have to like know.
Right. So, yeah, it said upped itself. This is the bad side of it.
Yeah.
It didn't need to be. I think Art just being a fucking psycho that just kills people for fun is more terrifying than what he eventually becomes. So that being said, Salem, how many hefty garbage bags out of 10 do you give this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's a step down from the first one, and I think it's even a step down from All Hallows Eve, right?
Oh.
I mean, All Hallows Eve was, they are what they are. They were good for what they were. And this one, again, I think it's just pure fan service. It's fan service with another film's plot slapped on it.
Yep.
So, I mean, like, you don't have any originality points here. The only really originality points you get is for your kills, and the kills in this are just like wacky clown bullshit, like trying to like elevate Art as like the next horror face, right?
Oh yeah.
And it's again all the things that I don't like. So this film takes a big step down for me. I'm gonna say it's a solid 4 hefty garbage bags out of 10.
Yeah, like I said, this is the second time watching it. I don't feel like I need to watch this again ever.
Right.
I think to me it's for me, it's on par with All Hallows Eve. So I will still give this a 6 hefty garbage bags out of 10. All right, now here we are, hour and 30 in. Spoilers alert for Terrifier 3 that just came out a week ago. We're going to be spoiling it. Like I said, not a lot of plot threads to it that you really care about. So take it away, Salem.
Yeah, and again, I was in a theater without taking notes, so
Yep.
if I miss parts, you're gonna have to forgive me because I can't write in the dark of a theater. Yeah, we start off exactly the same place that Terrifier 2 ended. The sister had her face eaten from the first one, was locked in a mental ward in the second one, and she gave birth to a head of Art.
Mhm.
And now the headless body of Art comes back to life from the Terrifier haunted house and walks his way to the psych ward and somehow gets in the building. So yeah, Chris Jericho is killed by the headless body. The nurse is killed by the head. Um, for whatever
While she's
reason,
eating the intestine from the head.
yeah, she's like eating that, like, I guess giving him power, or he's giving her power. I don't know. It's not explained. But essentially, Victoria, this is the part that I had to look up, right?
Mhm.
Victoria is now the little girl.
Yes.
The little girl, again, this is, they don't explain this in the films. I only looked this up because I was like, I didn't know what the fuck was happening. The little girl in the first one is a demon, and the demon is what brought Art back to life. Now, they do talk a little bit about lore of demons in this one, but it's very loose, and it doesn't specifically call out anything. It just says this is what demons can do. Demons can supposedly use, crazy, murderous people like serial killers, like Art was, to bring them physically into the world, but they need a host to do so.
Yes.
So essentially, Art is brought back to life by this demon who then takes over. The girl that died, who had her face eaten in the first one, takes over her body.
Essentially, his latest victim he left alive.
Right. So she is no longer herself. She is now this demon,
Mhm.
which doesn't really explain why she went crazy and killed the interviewer from the second one, because she wasn't possessed until after that.
Right.
Again, doesn't also explain why the boy and Lauren knew about the ghost little girl, because she supposedly wasn't corporeal at that point.
Yep.
Again, there's a lot of things that are not answered. I didn't look too deep into it. I was just like curious, like, what the fuck does this mean? But so now the little girl doesn't appear in this film because the little girl was the demon, and that demon has now possessed that girl's body. Whatever.
Yes.
That's pretty much all the lore and shit you're gonna get from this film. That's basically all there is to it. Now, opening is Art fucking dressed as Santa murdering an entire family in their house. It happens exactly how you think it does. I'm not gonna bother explaining. Then we go, oh yeah, 5 years earlier, or for some reason, it jumps all around fucking timelines, right?
Mhm.
And then it goes back to that, they do the whole murder in the thing, and then they go to this like abandoned house. Art sits in a rocking chair staring at a window, and the girl sits in a bathtub and slits open her, like, not even her wrists, her entire forearms, right?
Yes.
And then 5 years later, a demolition crew comes to the house and they're still there.
Yes, they went into hibernation.
Right. They went into hibernation. So Art wakes up, the girl wakes up, and then they decide, oh yeah, let's go on a killing spree now. Why they waited 5 years? I don't know. Nothing's explained.
They just waited for someone to touch them.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, if they needed to touch someone, why the fuck would they go to an abandoned house? I don't. None of it makes sense. Don't try to make sense of it. This film is not going to do that for you. So essentially, we go to Lauren. I know that's her real name and not her character. Sienna is her character's name.
Yes.
So the Sienna was in and out of a mental institution, which is probably the most realistic thing about this film, is that somebody who survived something like that is going to be fucked up. And so she is. She was in and out of mental hospitals for the last 5 years. Obviously, her parents are fucking dead. So she is now, I guess, supposed to be living with the aunt and uncle, who have not really been around her a lot the last 5 years, so they don't know how she is. The brother Jonathan has already been out. Doesn't seem to have the psychological trauma that she does, or at least he hides it better.
Even though he went through the same shit.
Right. Even though he went through the same shit, and he's in like college, like trying to like forward his academic career, whatever. Essentially, he doesn't really have a part in the story.
Nope.
Like his whole part is stupid, which is good because he's a terrible actor. Just spoiler there. Obviously, we don't really get much. He's just there to like introduce us to another couple of characters that get. I mean, really, that's the only reason that whole plot line exists. We'll get there. So she comes back. You know, she's like her niece is like obsessed with her. They hang out. They decide to go to the mall to do some Christmas shopping because, of course, it's Christmas time. And then she thinks she sees Art dressed as Santa in the mall. She freaks out. She has to come home. She calls her brother like, oh shit, I saw Art. We need to do something. And then he's like, oh, okay, we'll do something. And then like she goes to visit him. Like he gets like, goes like, I don't know what we're going to do. Like you need to stop. And then basically that's there to like the girl that has a podcast about her meets her. She gets angry at her. And then that's the reason. And then we meet like Jonathan's roommate who is dating that girl. That's the only reason this whole storyline exists. Okay, we get a wacky murder scene of Art killing a Santa at a bar with poor Clint Howard. They all get murdered. So it's Santa, Clint Howard, the bartender all get murdered, and then he steals the Santa suit and then cuts off his beard with liquid nitrogen somehow. So now he's Santa. The thing happens, you know, so she sees him at the mall, she leaves, he then pretends to be Santa at the mall, he gives one kid a bomb, and the bomb blows up and kills all the kids.
Yep.
Now she at this point she starts freaking out, right? She's like, okay, I did see Art's the one who did this, like stuff needs to happen. She goes and gets the sword wherever it was, she puts it in a wrapped present, puts it underneath the tree. To prepare for the future, right? She's like, oh, you got to go get my brother because everything's going down. So the uncle goes to go pick up the brother. Now,
it's the last we really see of them.
Right. Now, here's the thing. I don't know. I don't think I fell asleep, but I feel like there's a chunk of the film missing here.
Because it feels like a dream sequence next.
Right. Like she supposedly goes to sleep having taken a sleeping pill. Knowing what we know about the second film, right? We're assuming her to have some kind of Dream Warrior sequence. She does not. She wakes up. Art and the demon lady are already in the house. And the uncle has already been murdered, right? We don't get any, like, did he go and pick up the brother? Unknown. You know, we don't know. Like, is it really him? I don't know. He doesn't have a head. It's a guy's body. We don't know. Right? So she like comes downstairs. She sees them two there and they're talking and you assume it's a dream.
Yep.
Right? Because there's no reason for them to be there yet.
I immediately assumed it was a dream.
Right. Yeah, I did too. It's like, that's the way that it's put together. Like she literally says, I gave her a sleeping pill. What other, like that's the Chekhov's gun, right?
Yep.
Why else would you mention a fucking sleeping pill unless you're going to have her like in a dream sequence, especially what you set up in the second one? It's not. I'm sorry. I'm passing judgment before the end. I'm sorry. So she comes down. Art and the thing are already there. Again, the uncle is murdered and like crucified on the wall. His head is like the star on top of the tree, and Art is like, "Oh, I'm so wacky. I'm putting intestines around the tree instead of garland, whatever." So then she gets knocked out. She wakes up and she's tied into a chair, right? And that's the point. When she got knocked out, I thought she was going to wake up in her bed.
Yep.
And she does not. She wakes up tied to a chair. Her aunt is tied to another chair. She gets woken up. Art shoves like a big, like a tube in her mouth, and then opens up this bird cage, and it's like a skull, and it's like, oh, it's your daughter's skull. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, these rats have been eating your daughter's flesh. Now I'm going to force the rats down your throat.
Yes.
So yeah, they do the whole put the rat in the tube, burn its ass, and it climbs through whatever it can to get out. It was an old torture method.
Yes.
So where they'd use a pot, and so they'd put a rat in a pot and then put it up against your body and then heat the pot so the rat will dig through whatever it can do to get away, which it eats into your body and escapes, and it's a horrible way to die. Anyway, so that's what they do to the mom. Then they slit her throat to get the rats out. I don't know. Big, long, pointlessly gory sequence. So the mom is then dead. I'd admit something. That wasn't the daughter's head. It was your brother's. And she puts the glasses on. I'm like, wow, the dude doesn't even get a kill scene. Like, major character from the second one, like supposedly major character in this one, he doesn't even get a kill scene. We don't even see him get picked up. Sorry, I left out. There's the kill scene. Like I said, the whole reason they set up that storyline was so we could meet his roommate and his like podcaster girlfriend, so we can get this murder scene of Art murdering them with the chainsaw in the bathroom.
Yep.
Which is a long, drawn out sequence. We get to see him like chainsaw a penis in half. Like, again, long, pointless sequence. I guess I also left out the quote unquote that scene, right? That scene in this film is when they're murdering the two Destructo guys that are there to like do it. While Art is murdering the one guy, she takes the glass shard that she cut her wrists with and is like masturbating with it.
Yep.
And blood is like leaking on the floor as she's like getting more and more excited about a murder that Art is committing. So that is like the scene from. I'm right in that, right? Or is it the tubes with the rats?
The scene is the opening scene.
What, the kids and the Santa?
The murder of the family.
I would say masturbating with the mirror shards.
I don't disagree, but everyone say it was in the first 10 minutes of the movie. So
I mean that whatever. I would say that is the scene in this film,
or the shower scene.
Yeah, I mean, I think they purposely put more than one of them in this film because everybody talks about that scene and they're like, let's give them multiple that scenes, so they have to explain themselves.
Yeah,
whatever. So those are the scenes that if people talk about quote unquote that scene, that's what they're talking about. One of those scenes. Anyway, so so the mom dies. Jonathan is then dead. And your niece is still alive. Here she is. Okay. And we're gonna kill her. Oh no. So then, there's a big fucking struggle. With the little girl had apparently peeked in the present and knew that the sword was in there. And she's like, oh, before we die, can I give her present? Okay. So then Art like smashes her hands for, I don't understand why, because he's going to let her open the present anyway. I guess so she poses less of a threat when he unties her.
Yeah.
So yeah, she opens it up, sword out, she fights and kills the demon lady. The demon lady's blood leaks out and burns a hole in the ground that apparently goes straight to hell, I guess. So she's fighting Art. She like stabs him a bunch of times and essentially like gets to the point where either she has to murder him or save the girl because she fell in the hole. So she goes to save the girl. And I'm sorry, this is like the dumbest fucking part of this film. Just stupid as fuck. She uses the sword to reach out and try to give the little girl something to hold on to. Like, not as dumb as you think. She's not holding onto the sword and telling her to grab onto the bladed part. But just as dumb, she's holding the blade of the sword, trying to get her to hold onto the handle.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't care if you have fucking metal clamps for hands. That's not gonna fucking work. It's impossible to work. By the nature of flesh and steel, it's impossible for that to work. You could have used fucking literally anything else in that room.
Yes.
A box, the tree. I mean, a fucking chair leg, the chair itself, a fucking table. Any other thing in that fucking room would have been better than the fucking sword and you holding it by the blade. Like, maybe she got brain damage when like she was like from the sleeping pill or getting hit so many times. I don't understand the logic of that choice.
Yes.
But anyway, so exactly what do you think happens? The girl fucking slips and falls into hell.
Yep.
So then, Art disappears out the window. The demon lady is sent to hell, and apparently so has the niece. And so then the movie ends with her like I guess, preparing to go to hell to like try to find her.
That is the plot for number 4. Yes.
Yeah, I'm just saying I know what the fucking plot is, but like I don't know how they're gonna sell that plot.
No.
Did I leave anything out?
No, nothing important.
All
right. So, I mean, obviously we both saw this. I think we all kind of agreed that it just took a turn for the worse again, continuing down the shit line.
Yeah, it does exactly what the second one does, only more.
Yep.
You know, it's hyper focuses on their already existing audience. It gives them more of the fan service bullshit, wacky clown shit that they want, and takes that, you know, those kills one step further than they did before, because that's what they're asking
for. Right. So, why don't you start off with your highlights?
The highlights in this, I did enjoy the cameos in this one. Clint Howard was murdered, as he almost always is. But it's fun to see him there. And then Tom Savini, who, you know, for a minute in the second one, I thought the guy in the laundromat was Tom Savini, because it looks like it. I was like, oh, is that Tom Savini? But like, if you see him from different angles, you know it's not him. I'm like, oh, yeah. But it looked like him. And then he actually showed up in the third one. I'm like, oh, that is. I'm like, wait, are they tricking me again? Is it the laundromat guy? No. Okay, that's Tom Savini. Okay. So like, I appreciated those. I do like Lauren, you know, the girl who plays Sienna. I think she is actually really good in this movie. Like,
yes.
I know she's acting in ridiculous fucking stupid scenarios, but she really does pull it off. Like, you really believe that she is like mentally disturbed, but you know, because of the events that have happened to her. She really does sell it. She's really good. And again, she's a stunt woman. She is a martial artist. Like, the physical scenes are all her. Like, she doesn't need a stunt woman to come in for her. She does all the shit herself, and it shows, and it does a good job. I thought she did a fantastic job at it. The film itself, not great. I thought she did a great job. And then again, I will respect Damien for taking that one step beyond, right? He takes the scenes one step further than he probably should, or that have really commonly been done before. I do appreciate that he can take that step further. I really wish it wasn't the wacky, goofy way that he does it.
Right.
But I do respect that he does. That's all I got.
Yeah, I agree. The practical effects, for the most part, there is CGI now in this for the first time. This noticeably CGI. Overall, though, the practical effects and the more brutal kills are good, right? I do appreciate that. It's interesting that kills kids. Now you don't really see it.
Yeah, again, like, no one ever shows a child being murdered. It seems like more and more films are okay with showing a dead kid's body,
right?
But less and less are willing to show them actually being murdered.
Yes.
I'm okay with that. I really don't want to watch a kid getting murdered, but it's interesting that as far as they will take the rest of this film, they still won't cross that line.
Correct, because you don't see the teenage son getting killed. You hear it, you see the after effects, but you see the parents getting killed.
Right. Yeah. It's like, yeah, they'll show you the results of what happened with the fake body, but they won't show you the actual child being murdered.
Correct. Blowing up kids, I didn't expect that.
No, I honestly did not expect that part.
I expected him to hand out like sharp things and discussing
dead
bodies.
I expected the children to like murder each other or their parents is what I really expected.
Right. So, I mean, it did convey, it did trick us. So I got to give it kudos to that.
Right.
At least Art doesn't die and we have to have some other convoluted bullshit reason for him coming back.
Yeah. At least we got that.
Obviously Plan 9 from Outer Space. Great movie.
Yeah.
An arguably bad ending.
I don't think it's a great movie.
No.
That's a movie. Okay. Now this is, what I say, like, when you make a movie in a serious way and it's so bad it's funny.
Yeah.
That's Plan 9, right? Ed Wood really did try to make a good movie. He didn't intentionally make a bad movie. His vision was for a great film. It just turned out like that. That's funny, right? Now, when you intentionally make a bad movie and try to make that vibe intentionally, that's when I don't like it. That's like, I really don't like those kind of films.
Yeah. That's what I got. I'll run my low points. for Jonathan being a big character in the second one, for him to fucking die off screen, it's
Right.
bullshit.
Dies off screen without any like finale to his storyline, without
Yeah.
any kind of development, without anything at all.
Yep.
Like he just like unceremonious. We'll get that in mind.
Yeah. I honestly feel like this is a parody of itself.
It feels almost like a parody of the second one. Like it feels like it's like, oh yeah, well, we tried to put this Dream Warrior scenario in the second one. We're kind of work away from that, but we're just going to give you more of what you want in the meantime.
Yep. So it's that it jumped the shark and then just dragging the shark along with it.
Right. Yeah, it's walking around with one shark on each leg, like shark shoes.
Right. And the I'm gonna quote in air quotes the lore. This fucking stupid.
Right. Yeah, there is no lore. I had to look it up because I was like, what the fuck is it supposed to mean?
Yeah. It's unnecessary. I don't appreciate it. It doesn't need to go even more into it. And they already established like Sienna can get fucking hurt to hell, but if it's the sword that cuts her or she gets stabbed, it immediately heals. Like it happens to her stomach in the second one. It happens to her hands. Like her hands are still fucked.
Right.
At least it didn't go full on heal, but like the slices in her hands are the least of her concerns that she had on her.
Yeah, no shit. Like they were smashed with a fucking hammer and they had holes in them.
Yeah.
That's the worst part.
Yeah. The sidekick, art sidekick, was stupid. Like masturbating with a shard of glass. Like this is unnecessary. Like, are you trying to go after Exorcist now? Like it's stupid.
No, again, it was like there's multiple things of let's take this one step further. Right. Let's add something onto here so that it's gonna freak people out.
Yeah. Poor Clint Howard. I mean, just to get unceremoniously shot.
Well, that's what Clint Howard does. Clint Howard shows up to say a couple of funny lines and then die. That's his job. I think he's okay with that.
Yeah. And being afraid of cereal made zero sense.
Well, she wasn't afraid of it. No, she was like, oh, no. She was just like, no, thanks. I'm not a fan of cereal. She can have likes and dislikes. It's okay.
But it's because of Art Krispies from the
if I saw cricket cereal in real life, I probably wouldn't want to eat cereal either.
So, all right, those are my low points. How about yours?
Yeah. So number one, art. There's too much, and I mean that in two ways. One is there's too much of fucking art, and two is art is doing too much. Right? It's like it's too much. Both ways, just stop. Like I understand everybody wants to see art do wacky clown things and kill people in horrible ways. I get it. But now like I would say like 75% of this film is just that.
Yes.
It's literally all it is. It's just like a nonstop fucking train of that. Like you said, Jonathan, what the fuck was that? Like he was in there, like they were trying to have some kind of subplot with like him, like understanding about the little clown girl and that she had to kill him to stop his power, blah, blah, blah. Why he knows that, who knows? I don't know. None of that is explained. Even the little bit that I had to read to get understanding, it still doesn't unexplain that, but whatever. And then he just like dies. Like no end to his story arc, no nothing. He's just gone. Again, like I talked about, using the sword to help that girl, like you need to get your fucking head checked. Like what the fuck were you thinking? And again, I really feel like there's a chunk of this film missing.
Yes.
Like this, it goes from like the uncle going to pick up the Jonathan from college, and then it cuts to Art and the demon girl are already in the house. The uncle is already murdered. So apparently he already came back with Jonathan and had the time to get murdered.
Yep.
And they murdered Jonathan in that time period while she was asleep. And then like, again, there's no dream sequences in this film. There's no any kind of like tapping into her fucking goofy dream warrior powers that she had. None of that is talked about or explained or visited at all. Like the magic sword, I guess, is kind of sort of there, but even that isn't
barely used.
Yeah, there's nothing there. It's again, this film, it doesn't even tie into the goofy fucking plot that was in the second one.
Nope.
Like, yeah, it's the same characters, but it doesn't follow the same plot line.
Right.
But yeah, I really feel like there's a huge chunk of this. Like it cuts out the second half of Act 2.
Mm-hmm.
It goes from beginning of Act 2 to end of Act 3. Like that whole chunk in the middle is gone. And it feels very jarring and very out of place. I understand the movie was like long as fuck. It's over 2 hours. And I get maybe they cut that out for time. I just would really like to know if there's supposed to be scenes in between.
I agree.
Because it really feels like they're just missing. It really feels like there's something else. Maybe the director's cut of this film will save it in part. I don't know, but yeah, I did not enjoy it. That's all I got.
Okay. So, I'll go first for number hefty garbage bags out of 10. God, like, I don't get persuaded by other people's reviews. Some people really love this movie. Some people really hate this movie. It seems to be divided. Arguably the worst one.
No, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I will go down to 4 hefty garbage bags out of 10. Like I said, there's still parts that I enjoy, but the story, the lore, all the extra bullshit, the missing fucking scene, it really brings it down. So it's 4 hefty garbage bags out of 10 for me. How about you?
Yeah, it's another step down from Terrifier 2. It's more hyper focused fan service, more wacky art, and his hilarious. Again, I'm using that term sarcastically. Kills. You know what I mean? It's like that's all it is. That's all this fucking film is. They almost get rid of the fucking goofy plot that they had from the second one and just decide to just kind of cut that out. It really feels like they're trying to start over the third one with like just her having a magic sword and then art on the run. Like they don't want to cut out this whole goofy demon storyline completely. But then I guess she has to go to hell to find her niece. So who the fuck knows? Again, it's a big step down. It's pure fan service. It's just, yeah, the gore and shit is good, but fucking completely unnecessary. It's just string of gory scenes slapped together so that people see more of art being wacky.
Yep.
It's like, and it's just, I don't like it. I don't like those kind of films. I don't think it's good. I think it's a big step down. I'm going to give it a 2.
2. All right. Anything else to add about Terrifier?
Nope.
All right. Well, we left Miles County and we are now hiding in hotels from Art the Clown. We passed the Clown Motel. We're horrified of the next one because, it may be a Super 8. All we can do is hope the last one won't give us bed bugs or just be a portal to hell. So we will be going over hotels, scary hotels, right? With Clown Motel, Motel Hell, and Horror Hotel. I believe that's probably going to be our last Spooktober episode for 2024.
Oh no.
I know. I know Salem's very disappointed by that. So remember, we watch bad movies, so you don't have to. And let's face it, October has been a lot of bad movies for us.
For sure, yeah.
And this has been Graveyard saying, have you checked on the children?
This is Salem saying, long live the new flesh.
Good night.